Heyo Luckies, today's episode is an incredibly special one and one that I think is perfect for all the Notre Dame lovers. So today we have on Ryan Retartha. He is the advisor to the dean and a senior director of strategy and planning for the Mendoza College of Business. And if you want to learn more about the inner workings of Notre Dame and the business school and seeing somebody that went to Notre Dame, works for Notre Dame, and loves the community of Notre Dame, this is the episode for you. Ryan has been such a huge inspiration, friend, and mentor to the podcast. Week one, we sat down with him and he helped us figure out a plan and how we could build it. So being able to have him on the podcast was full circle, special moments, and I'm just grateful to be able to sit down with him. As always, the episode is brought to you by CharmND, and please enjoy this episode. So let's get into it. Ayo, welcome back to the Luck Management Podcast with your host, Carter Loesch. Today is November 17th, and we have episode 65 of Exploring the Luck Management Lifestyle. And today we have on a very special guest, a friend, a confidant, somebody that was with me from the beginning of the Luck Management Podcast, sitting down with Alex, going through ideas, thinking about people we could talk to. A Notre Dame graduate as well, 2007 Notre Dame graduate. Ryan Retartha, welcome to the Luck Management Podcast.
Carter, it's an honor. You know, like you said, we kind of been talking about this since the beginning, and it's just amazing to see how it's evolved and grown, and some of the amazing leaders and alumni that you've had on the podcast. It's truly an honor to be with you and to catch up a little bit this afternoon.
It's special to be able to say we started this journey over a year ago, and I thank my lucky stars because there's a saying, or there's this thing in podcasting that only 1% get to 20 episodes, and we're now at 65. And people listen and actually want to hear some of the advice, and it's cool to be able to build it out. And some of the guests have been amazing. I mean, no short of having you on here. I mean, advisor to the dean, senior director of strategy and planning at the Mendoza College of Business, super involved in the campus, seeing where things are going. And at a point, one of the biggest areas is the business school that moves a lot of money, sitting right next to the football stadium. You're in the throes of it. You're in the thick of it.
Yeah, no, it's good. We've got a wonderful spot on campus, you know, especially on days like today on Football Fridays. The atrium's just full of fans and students, and there's just so much energy. You know, I actually had lunch today with a colleague of mine that works over in the Golden Dome in the main building.
Oh
And
man,
you know, we got lunch at Legends, which is right next to Mendoza.
right.
And the first words out of her mouth were, "You forget how busy and how much energy there is on this in this corner of campus on
Mhm.
on a home game Friday." And so we get to enjoy that quite a bit at Mendoza.
Right? You have everybody coming in right around that bend right there. Everyone wants to go to Legends. I mean, since that opened back up, there's just been an added, hey, we can actually hang on campus a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, to work in the Golden Dome, pretty amazing too. But people like to look from afar at that. People actually like to go to Mendoza and check it out.
Yep.
Hey, as I like to think, as long as you're close to the football stadium, you're in a good spot right there. You
Yeah,
get
no, we enjoy it a lot. We really do.
you get good attention over there. But this is just really cool to be able to sit down with you. And the first thing we like to do is look at the idea of luck. And throughout 64 episodes and even more, we've looked at an idea of what is luck. I think everybody experiences luck in their life, but it's those chance opportunities and those lucky moments. It's what you're doing with them and how you make a difference at the end of the day. I have heard some amazing quotes like, luck follows speed. Kathleen Kiefer, if you know who she is, the Notre Dame artist, she mentioned that on the last episode, and I was like, "Ooh, Lou Holtz knew what he was talking about." Because if you're quick to a decision, you're lucky, and you can move through. And then luck favors the prepared. Luck is a step-by-step process. It's not chance, in my opinion. So I wanted to ask what your thoughts are on luck.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of you need to prepare yourself to be lucky. You
Mm-hmm.
need to take the steps, the day to day, the grind of day to day, making the right moves, taking the right steps to prepare yourself physically, intellectually, professionally, emotionally, spiritually, so that when luck does come by your door, and it'll come by everybody's door at one point, that you're ready to seize the moment. I've always really, really firmly believed in that.
Yep, hopping on those chance opportunities and being ready for change or not just staying stagnant. I think that's where you're lucky. Because if you're always looking just for the same thing or expecting the same thing, you might get it. So be ready for something new.
Yeah, I also think if you're bogged down or weighed down with stress or with bad habits or with anxiety or you're burned out, I think the other difficulty there is you're also not you're going to miss a lot of luck. You're going to miss those moments because you're going to be so in the weeds or head down on whatever it is you're going through. So I think another benefit to keeping yourself prepared for luck is that you're gonna be able to catch that luck and see those lucky situations more clearly and more often.
Yep, 100%. And I see that your sign behind you, like play like a champion today. It's like you can't play like a champion today if you don't play like a champion yesterday and the day before and putting in that work. You
Yep.
don't get put into that opportunity unless you have built something around it.
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah. Also, that wave there too. If you're trying to surf that wave behind you, the big Japanese wave.
Yep.
Yeah, last year's commencement. Speaking on that, and you're seeing the struggle of a wave, but you just got to channel the storm. You got to keep moving through peace and harmony. That's
And
beautiful.
keeping that long view, like not just trying to look at the wave in front of you, but trying to take the long view of like, you know, I was really inspired by there's a documentary series. I think it's on Netflix about these young women that are professional surfers in Hawaii,
Hmm.
and it's inspiring in general, but you really get a sense of like they have to you have to look at the wave very strategically. You
Yeah.
might have seen that. I don't know why I've been watching these surf documentaries lately. There's another surf documentary on Max about the huge surfing community that's popped up amidst these gigantic waves off the coast of Portugal.
We'll have to check it out.
And I mean, these are really, really like life and death kind of situations with
Yeah.
these gigantic big waves. And again, they have to take it so strategically and really try to see the whole field and figure out what's the route that I need to take to tackle this wave, much like you would if you were on like a ski slope or
Hmm.
something like that. And again, like it might take them a couple runs. It might take them, months, weeks, multiple seasons just to get to the point where they can tackle one of those big waves because you
Right.
kind of just get used to it over time. And so again, I think that just goes back to that idea of like every day putting in the work, focusing on the small things, doing the small things so that when that wave comes, you're ready to hit it and you're ready to make history and to make that
Totally.
moment yourself and to make yourself famous, by hitting it head on.
It's
Because the waves are luck, right? The waves are luck.
Yeah, it's compounding, honestly. I
Yeah.
think some people look at my podcast and be like, "Oh, what's the growth or what's this or that?" No, it's the idea of being able to sit down with somebody every single day, or not every day, but like once a week, and be able to learn about their life, what they've done, where they've been able to find those moments of, hey, just get a little bit better each day, and it formulates a full career. I think at one point though, our age or people that are in college, there's such an instant gratification.
Yeah.
And because of iPhones, because of all these things that have been built with technology that like instantly, hey, I need to get this. And it's testing us even more to say, hey, you're not going to be able to make, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's one of the most used quotes of all time. And yet it's like, we forget that. So just keep grinding, keep growing. I like it. So
So I was when I was at Notre Dame, I was a theater major,
nice.
and part of what drew me to that was exactly what you're talking about, was the instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I had thought for a little while about maybe being an architecture major or something like that, and an architecture career, you spend years just doing paper projects and drafting before you actually get to do something that gets built.
Right.
But when I was doing theater production, you got it immediately.
Yeah, you're
Like
hopping
you
in.
get work within a couple weeks, like your product's there. And as a young man, that was really gratifying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for the first part of my career when I was working professionally in the arts, I was really fueled by that, like getting to opening night, right? And I was just going from opening night to opening night to opening night. But
Wow.
I was so burned out all the time, and I was so stressed out just getting to opening night. I
Yeah.
can never take the long view. I can never take that strategic view of my career and my career path. And
Wow.
when I finally pivoted to Mendoza at this point 6 years ago, and started to learn from people that had taken a bit of a different tack with their career, or I started to learn from some of our faculty, who are experts in management systems
Mm-hmm.
and professional development and coaching and leadership. And that's when I really started to realize, boy, I should be taking a way further out view in terms of how to navigate my career, and not just go month to month, but really try to take the longer view. It's helped me to not get frustrated as easily as I might have in the past. It helps me to give myself, I can give myself a lot more grace now because I'm taking a longer view on things. So it's amazing how mindsets change when you just add a little bit more like slack into the system, and you look a little bit further out into the future.
Yeah, that's really interesting how you went from that theater career or that theater beginnings to say, oh, I actually need to look back a little bit more to move forward. So I
Yeah.
need to start planning ahead. That put you into the spot that you are now. It's like those situations and those moments. That's amazing. That's really, really cool. Hey, I bet no one knew that you were a theater major back in college, right? So this is for the people. Everybody go. He's a thespian, as we like to say.
Mhm.
Um, awesome. So let's just get into a couple of like the highs of the week. Did you have anything this week that stood out to you? What are you excited for? What was great?
Oh boy, no, it was a really good week. Honestly, we've been making some hires like in senior leadership here at Mendoza over the past couple of weeks,
Right.
and a lot of them started their work for us just in the past week or two. And
Cool.
boy, it just feels like it's just the confidence in having like a full team. There's
Yeah.
just nothing like that, and feeling like the whole team's here, the whole team's going to start working together. We can really start to set processes and SOPs behind some of the things that we're trying to achieve. So that was definitely a highlight with some of the senior leadership that we have that has started in the past couple of weeks. I also had somebody on my team start this week as well,
Nice.
strategy and planning team here at Mendoza, and that was the other highlight of the week because honestly, she already has such a great portfolio put together of things that I want her to be working on here at the
Cool.
college to make the college better, to elevate our programs, to support our faculty, and that was fun too. Having new employees start is always a highlight.
Yeah. What's her name? Shout out of the week.
Yeah, her name's Marnie Stahl. Marnie was I think 15 or 16 years as the associate rowing coach here at Notre Dame.
Oh wow.
And she went through our EMBA program. So she's a Notre Dame EMBA executive MBA alum.
Beautiful.
Was most recently on our career development team, and then started as the college's very first strategy advisor just this week.
Oh, it's in the family. That Notre Dame connection, it runs
Uh,
as deep as you could ever imagine. I mean, you lead the charge on that, I feel like.
yeah.
You and me. I'll go second. You could be first on that. Um, First off, just on the getting employees in, it is really amazing to hear. But I think what some people think of when they think of Notre Dame, it's just a massive school, and there's millions of fans. It was like 10 million fans. You realize that the administration, even at Mendoza, it's a small family. Like it is not hundreds of people coming. Yes, in total they're all working together, but there are some real people that are making big decisions. And when you get into that family, it's closeness. It's the Notre Dame tradition. And to be able to welcome a few more people in along that Notre Dame way, that's cool to see.
Yeah, and there's nothing like it. And I've had a what I affectionately refer to as a portfolio career, in that I've done a couple different things in a couple different parts of the nonprofit industry.
Yeah.
Um, and there really is nothing like the community of staff and faculty at Notre Dame. It's amazing how people that you work with kind of come in and out of your career at different parts. People that you might have saw in passing years ago suddenly
Hmm.
working really closely with, and you really feel like you grow. I feel like I've grown, kind of grown up professionally with a lot of my colleagues, and as I've said to many of them, and I'll say on this podcast, I've done more learning in 4 years at Mendoza. I mean, I've been here 6 years, but I've done more learning at Mendoza as a staff member than I think I did here as an actual student.
Isn't that funny,
And
right?
it's a true blessing, Carter. It honestly is.
It's always learning. There's something beautiful just being around campus too.
Yeah.
It's different from going into the working world, and no disrespect to the working world, but when you're on a university campus and you have a university that has such lofty expectations and wants to do good, I mean Mendoza, like
Yeah.
the good in business, like when you can feel that and you have a mission to drive, that's when it makes a real difference. And to tell you the truth, I hope one day I end up back at Mendoza or I end up back working at Notre Dame because, yeah, I think you can tell the love I got for the for the Irish.
Okay. And honestly, it keeps working at a university in a lot of ways. It keeps you young because you're always surrounded by young people, and
Yeah,
we're so blessed to be surrounded by students, not just of the highest academic character, academic performance,
yeah.
but of the highest character.
Hmm.
Just absolutely amazing young people every day. That alone is a motivating factor in that. Boy, like just waking up every day and getting a chance to connect with just some of the most amazing young people on the planet. I mean, that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, changing the world and
Yep.
making a difference. My Even if I'm here for 1 year, like it changed my world. My dad got his MBA. My brother getting his MBA currently. You got to meet him. You got to meet my brother. Um, but I wholeheartedly agree. Heyo Luckies, today's episode is always brought to you by Charm ND. And this week and the week of December, we have an amazing promo going on. So episode number 63 with Kathleen Kiefer was a special one. She is a Notre Dame artist. Her work is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you should go to KathleenKiefer.com and Kathleen Kiefer on Instagram. Her work is fantastic. It is the art and the spirit of Notre Dame. I love her work and I loved being able to speak with her. If you haven't seen the episode, check out the episode. It is a passion and world of, hey, how did I get into this and how did I find my calling? Also a Notre Dame grad. But we are doing a very, very special and wonderful collaboration. So Kathleen and I came together and we came up with an idea. She has a Celtic ornament and I have my Charm ND keychains, and we are doing a combination. So we are doing a 10 item combination. So 10 keychains and 10 ornaments are coming together, and it's going to be $85 in my Charm ND Etsy shop. And what you are going to do is that if you are one of the 10 buyers that orders from Charm ND and Etsy, you will be put into a lucky raffle where you will be able to win a second charm and ornament. That's an $85 value for free.
We wanted to bring the luck of the Irish to all the luckies out there. So please check out the promotion. Please check out the collaboration. I'm so proud of this. I'm so blessed to be able to do a collaboration with such a fantastic artist. And all you luckies out there, this means a lot to me because if you are able to buy, it supports the podcast. It means the world to me that you guys would support the Luck Management Podcast, Charm ND, and also fellow Kathleen Kiefer. So if you need Christmas gifts, this is the perfect Christmas gift to get on. So thank you. Go Irish and go Charm ND.
Awesome. My high of the week, it's just a solid, nice week here. 70s this summer. It was averaging 108, 110. I didn't want to go outside, so seeing November in the 70s and just enjoying life, that was good. And then also, I am going to California this upcoming weekend for Thanksgiving. I go out to Palm Springs, and it's fantastic to just be with family, get a little bit of golf in. And my birthday's coming up on Tuesday, so
Go, happy
celebration.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you. So
Palm Springs is wonderful. It's just lovely.
yeah, out of this world. And we stay at like La Quinta Resort, if you've ever heard of it over there. Oh,
Sure.
phenomenal. So
Wonderful.
awesome. So let's hop into some of these questions. So the first question of the managing expectations is, can you talk to me a little bit about your upbringing? You started with, college and being theatrics, but how did you get from that program and that world to where you are today?
Oh, so like I said, theater major here at Notre Dame. I had a double major in English.
Mm-hmm.
I went and got an MFA, which is a Master's in Fine Arts,
Nice.
from the School of Drama at Yale, right after Notre Dame. I actually grew up in Connecticut, so I was actually kind of coming back home for grad school. I
You a
was able.
Frank Pepe's fan?
Yeah, I like Pepe's. I like the white clam at Pepe's, but the plain cheese, I got to go with Sally's.
Sally's? Okay. I have to know. I'm a massive pizza guy, so big respect.
Have you been to New Haven?
So I've been to Frank Pepe's, but I haven't been to Sally's, and that's on the list. People have bucket lists to go to countries. I have bucket lists to try pizza.
Well, it's worth the trip. It's certainly worth multiple trips.
Okay, yeah, continue. Sorry. My sister went to Conn College, so I know.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, that was a 3-year program, that Master's in Fine Arts
Oh, wow.
in technical design and production management. So very, very intense. It was more of a conservatory style. Boy, I think like I must have had I think I had 7 classes the first semester, and then you're working on the shows and productions on top of that. So I would do 6, 7 a.m. to 1 or 2 in the morning. I mean, I did that for 3 years effectively.
Wow.
So it's a very, very challenging program, but it's that nice. It's a lot like a teaching hospital in that you're getting that real hands-on experience
Mm-hmm.
with industry professionals, while also taking classes and learning. So
Yeah. Did you want
very
to be
much.
an actor? Like, did you want to
No, no,
maybe?
no. I was a production manager. I liked the producing
Okay.
and the management side of things. That's where I spent my whole career.
Totally.
Just working behind the scenes, making the deals happen, making the shows happen,
Cool.
staff management, facilities management, all that kind of stuff. More general management, if you will.
Yeah.
Spent my summers working at a fairly large roadhouse in DC, outside of DC, called Wolf Trap.
Mm-hmm.
An indoor-outdoor amphitheater, kind of like Ravinia or Tanglewood, or
Yeah.
those kind of venues. Loved that. Was there both summers that I was in grad school, and then spent years after that bouncing around a couple different nonprofit theaters. And my first job out of grad school was 2010, so we were still in the midst of the Great Recession. There were no arts jobs.
I
So
bet.
I took a job at the Shepherd School of Music at Rice, right near you, and
Very
was
cool.
partially because I felt like music was kind of like that's probably what I had the least amount of knowledge in, like music production. So took a job at the music school at Rice, which was great. It was a great place.
Phenomenal. Cool. Beautiful.
Great facilities, great experience. From there, I went to a nonprofit theater in Greensboro, Virginia,
Cool.
which was run by a couple Yale guys, which again, phenomenal. Greensboro was absolutely spectacular. I loved living in Greensboro for 2 years. That was really like the most kind of small businessy experience that I had in my career. And that,
Really?
like, we're working with local companies to sponsor our shows. We're working with local companies to cut deals on, some of our supplies that we need.
So
You
hands on. Yeah.
Right, really hands on, really of the community, which was just a really great, exciting time. I had 10 or 13 direct reports. I was 26 years old.
Oh.
I was adjuncting at like 3 different colleges in the area at that point. So it was just a really busy, exciting time. Uh,
Uh-huh.
from that job, I took kind of the big job in my arts career, which was at the Goodman Theater in Chicago.
Wow.
At that point, the Goodman was the third largest nonprofit theater in the country. And so that's when we were really doing the big stuff. A lot of shows would transfer to Broadway and off Broadway or other parts of the country. Just working with, you know, Tony winners, Oscar winners, Grammy winners, Emmy winners. You name it. Uh,
Yeah.
that was probably some of the highest quality artistic work. But boy, it was a grind. Working
Really?
in movies is a grind. Working in the arts at that level is a grind. You never turn off
Every day you need to perform, right?
every single day. But spending all those years effectively doing project management, with very, very firm deadlines. You can't cancel opening night.
No.
Um, working with limited resources and trying to make limited resources work. Having to do a lot of stakeholder management with artists. Artists are so passionate about their work. Everything's personal with them. Learning how to
Yeah.
manage them, manage their needs, make them feel like they're being heard, make
It's
them
like
feel
students, right?
or like faculty.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
so I learned a lot of really good management, like soft and hard management skills and techniques in those years.
And you kind of have to sift through it because you got actors that have big personalities that you don't know if it's acting.
And honestly, we were a little bit different than New York. New York
Uh-huh.
theater scene, it's very expensive to do anything in New York City, and so it's much more of like a scarcity mindset.
Oh
And we
wow.
would get a lot of artists that maybe were New York based that hadn't worked in Chicago before, and we'd have to kind of like have a bit of a come to Jesus about what it means to work in Chicago theater. Chicago theater allows for a lot more time for development and rehearsal. We
Okay.
can just take a lot more time to work on shows to get it right. These artists don't have to fight for everything and beg for anything, and so it's a very artist friendly environment in Chicago. And so helping to kind of navigate folks that might be used to a more adversarial atmosphere in New York or LA. That was a big part of my job as a production manager. So you learned a lot. I learned a lot working in the arts. That's what eventually brought me back to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think
joined.
like the Midwest nice versus like the New York.
Yes,
Hey,
100%.
get in or get out of the way.
Yep. So I came back to Notre Dame in 2016 to take a job as part of the leadership team at the Performing Arts Center here on campus.
Mm-hmm.
They had called me up. We had a conversation just a few weeks before the academic year started because they had a position open up really, really, kind of last minute. And what they hadn't realized is that I had actually married a South Bend native. And so we figured, well, this must be serendipitous, and we had to, give it a shot coming back to South Bend and maybe think about starting a family and putting roots down. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
Was at DPAC for 3 years, and we do 250 events and performances a year at DPAC. I was a production manager, so I was pretty much helping to produce all the live events and shows and other university events that we would do there. Um,
That's fantastic.
after about 3 years, we had our first kid, and I realized that I didn't really want to keep working so many nights and weekends.
Yeah, it was taking up a lot of your life, huh?
Yeah, so at that point, I really took stock of my transferable skills and started to have a couple cups of coffee around campus, and that's what led me to Mendoza. And I started in an operations role and eventually moved into a business development role. And then Martin asked me to serve in the director of alumni relations for 3 years, which is how you and I met.
Yep.
And then just over the summer, he asked me to fill this new role and start this new strategy and planning team at the college. So it's been quite a journey.
I mean, you would look at one single position and you say, oh, how does it kind of get to the next one? But like you can kind of see the gradual flow. And theater and business, I mean, they're all synonymous. They all intertwine. They you have to deal with, a lot of different issues coming in. You have to deal with really tight deadlines. And to be able to be tagged and come back and see what you can do for Mendoza and now moving into this position, it's really cool. And I'm excited to see like what the future holds as well. In terms of like South Bend too, you move back. I just saw something that they're planning on investing like $1 billion in the next 10 to 15 years in the community of South Bend. And you have to think that that's so much to do with the strategy of, the university. I'd love to hear like what goals or what things that you see Notre Dame doing for in the future. Like what does the horizon look like for Notre Dame?
Well, just to go back on kind of your thoughts about how Notre Dame has invested in the community. It's certainly not just the area, but the relationship between Notre Dame and the area. It's come such a long way since when I was a student.
Yeah, yeah,
And a lot of that is because we had visionary leaders that understood, we as an institution need to be willing to invest in the area, use, the leverage and the influence that we have as a global institution to attract business and to attract, development, in not just South Bend, but Mishawaka and Elkhart
yeah,
and Michigan, Niles, the whole region, the whole Michiana region, really. And so
yeah. It's close.
we've seen that vision. I mean, I think it's a huge part of our president, Father John's legacy, and the rest of the executive staff over the past 10 or 15 years.
Yeah,
Um, but in terms of the future, I mean, look, like Father John is going to retire at the end of this academic year,
a
and
lot of
so
change.
we're going to have a new president, and so who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Who knows what bold vision that the new president's going to have for the future of Notre Dame? I think we're all kind of on tenterhooks,
It's
waiting to see
exciting.
exactly
Oh,
going to be and what their vision might be. I mean, Father John obviously had a huge focus on research, had a huge focus on globalization, and we delivered on both of those visions
right.
over the course of his tenure. With the AAU status, with the unbelievable growth that we've had in terms of our international presence with the global gateways. The amount of students that we're sending overseas around the world to study. The amount of research that we're doing all over the world, we've delivered on both of his several of his major goals during his tenure, and we'll see what the next set of goals are.
It's cool. It's like opening up to a new age
Yeah.
where we've had this president for such a long time, and every time he's on the jumbotron, everyone's going crazy cheering for him and
Well,
loving.
We're very blessed in higher ed.
We are.
We we are blessed with very stable leadership over time.
Yeah,
Uh, Everybody in senior leadership tends to be here for quite some time, a decade plus, and that is not common in higher ed at all. And
it's a
you,
dream job.
yeah, mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw, but like um the latest Rudy clip for the 30-year after Rudy came out, they came up with the clip being like, "Oh, why do you guys love Notre Dame?"
The deleted scene, yeah,
The
I saw
deleted scene. Like
dinner.
I was
Yeah.
like, "How did you not put that in the movie?"
I thought the same thing.
Like what? You missed out on that part.
Yep.
But that it's more than just a university. It is a religion. Um, it is a connection to globalization. It's a connection to these projects that are changing the world. And I think that people come here as a final destination. Like there is not much more than this because we really do find it in our like dreams. And I love that because people want to be here. People want to make positive change. Speaking
Yeah,
of change,
Carter, it's a vocation for me. It's my, and not just for me. I mean, I don't think I've ever told you I have an identical twin brother. You might not know that about me.
you got me connected with him when we were talking
That's right.
about
That's right.
the
Um,
scaffolding of the dome.
right. Um, he works on campus. He's been here. He's a double domer. MBA undergrad.
Yeah.
His wife is a double domer. She works on campus. so many of us decide to come back and to make Notre Dame our life's work, and to have our life's work be supporting this glorious institution and supporting our ladies university. And again,
Beautiful.
like, there's plenty of schools that have that, but I don't think any other school has that kind of dynamic quite like Notre Dame does.
Yeah, I 100% agree. In terms of some of those changes, I mean, we even all Swarbrick is leaving
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
stepping down. So there's changes in the administration. There's changes on the football team. We got a new basketball coach. There's just like new energy there that is exciting, and I think it opens up for a really beautiful future. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Agreed.
Now you've kind of went through a little bit of your time up until now. If there were 5 words that you could use to describe, that journey or your life, what would you say?
That's a tough one, Carter. Boy,
It is a
I would say 5 words. Difficult.
yeah.
Difficult because I came into the workforce during the Great Recession, and have been through COVID in my career, and a lot of ups and downs there. So
It's been crazy.
difficult. Yeah, it's been crazy. It's a difficult. I'd say probably very rewarding. I've had so many moments where I've been able to accomplish things that you know I look back on, and it's hard to believe sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, when you wake up in your hotel room in the city, and you open up the New York Times to the arts section, and you see your show reviewed above the fold. That's an accomplishment.
Nothing like it.
There's nothing like it. I'd say probably um, friendship.
Yeah.
Friendship. Again, when you're working in the arts, when you're working in a nonprofit, like we've talked about, you make some unbelievable relationships with people. You forge lifelong bonds with people, even in a workplace environment. That's what makes working in a nonprofit special and unique.
Yeah.
So that was
Beautiful.
one. I would say dynamic.
Having a switch. Yeah. You
I've
transit.
built pivots at this point, and I've had to stay agile, and then growth. I really, like I said to you before, I've learned so much over the course of I never thought I would learn so much
Yeah.
once I got to the workplace. I thought, well, I get into Notre Dame, I get one of the best educations in the world. I go to Yale to an elite program for graduate school, and I really left Yale thinking I know everything. Like I got this down.
Right.
Boy, like just the amount of learning that you do over the years, inside and outside the workplace, it's humbling. It's truly humbling.
I know. And you're just getting started, right?
Yeah, yeah, I hope so.
I think people say that to me too. It's like you're just getting started, and
Yep.
I don't know as much as the next guy, but like I can't wait, right? It's the excitement of being able to hop into that. So then you talked about some of this like progression into being able to learn and grow. Um, what is on the horizon for you? Like what are some maybe bucket list items and things that you want to achieve as you move forward throughout this position and just being involved with Notre Dame?
Oh, I mean, Mendoza, we're so blessed with our dean, who's just so innovative and has such a clear vision for where he wants to take the college. And so
Mm-hmm.
certainly, and he was just renewed for his second term as dean. So certainly, giving him as many achievements and accomplishments and wins in his second term
Working together. Yeah.
was front of mind. And it's 5 years, so we got time.
Is it? Oh, so it's a 5-year horizon the way they
Yeah.
do that.
So
Cool.
he's been through 2029
No.
for this term. And so trying to make sure that we can meet as much of his vision as possible is probably what's on the near term in terms of
Cool.
goal. But I mean, long term, just continuing to find new ways to have an impact on Notre Dame, to have an
Yeah.
impact on this university.
Would you get involved in the arts again at Notre Dame since you had that like a little bit of involvement prior to?
That's a good question. I probably would. I'll admit to you, I'd love to do it. Maybe more either in an executive role or in a faculty role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I certainly would consider doing that again. We have, hopefully, we're entering a new golden age for the arts here on campus. Now that we really do have, completed this arts campus just south of Mendoza. They just opened
Phenomenal.
our new art museum, and then of course you have DPAC, which has been there for 15 years at this point, over 15 years, and then and the architecture school. So between those three things, there's kind of this arts. Oh, and the music school is just attached to the south end of the stadium now. So you have
Yeah.
all the arts, you have all the arts schools and all the arts study as well as architecture within the same kind of walking distance on the southeast edge of campus. And so maybe, I really do hope this is a new kind of golden age for that.
Yeah, I love it how we built another museum because we have too much art. And the campus it's gorgeous. It looks like you're walking in Italy. Like the architecture building right next to that new museum and the architecture park and everything.
Mhm.
Notre Dame just does it at top of class at all moments. So that's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I drive past the art museum every day. Obviously, it's right on the drag there, and so I saw it going up from the beginning. And boy, even I, who have seen a million buildings go up, over the, almost 25 years I've been on
Right.
campus.
Heyo Luckies, today's episode is always brought to you by Charm ND, and this week and the week of December we have an amazing promo going on. So episode number 63 with Kathleen Kiefer was a special one. She is a Notre Dame artist. Her work is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, you should go to KathleenKiefer.com and Kathleen Kiefer on Instagram. Her work is fantastic. It is the art and the spirit of Notre Dame. I love her work and I loved being able to speak with her. If you haven't seen the episode, check out the episode. It is a passion and world of, hey, how did I get into this and how did I find my calling? Also a Notre Dame grad. But we are doing a very, very special and wonderful collaboration. So Kathleen and I came together and we came up with an idea. She has a Celtic ornament and I have my Charm ND keychains, and we are doing a combination. So we are doing a 10 item combination. So 10 keychains and 10 ornaments are coming together, and it's going to be $85 in my Charm ND Etsy shop. And what you are going to do is that if you are one of the 10 buyers that orders from Charm ND and Etsy, you will be put into a lucky raffle where you will be able to win a second charm and ornament. That's an $85 value for free. We wanted to bring the luck of the Irish to all the luckies out there. So please check out the promotion. Please check out the collaboration. I'm so proud of this. I'm so blessed to be able to do a collaboration with such a fantastic artist. And all you luckies out there, this means a lot to me because if you are able to buy, it supports the podcast. It means the world to me that you guys would support the Luck Management Podcast, Charm ND, and also fellow Kathleen Kiefer. So if you need Christmas gifts, this is the perfect Christmas gift to get on. So thank you. Go Irish and go Charm ND.
I've seen a lot of buildings go up, and even still, after all that time, seeing so many buildings go up, I still had these moments of thinking, man, like they are really building that well. Like they're using the best materials and the strongest materials and
fast too.
Right, but with such an eye to quality and such an eye to longevity. It's not just being built out of timber or out of out of engineered plywood or
Yeah, they're not messing around.
it is brick and steel and stone and things that are meant to last far longer than you and I will be around here.
Yeah. No, I think that's one thing. It's like solid foundation
Yeah.
warrants solid tradition.
I
So,
mean, and it's 100-year decisions, which is something else that I think Notre Dame does better than almost any other, uh, any other university. Is we really make decisions that are meant to impact us, not for 5 years, not for 10 years, not for 50 years, but we really like taking the time and doing the due diligence to make 100-year decisions around here, and we've benefited from it.
I love it. No, that's great. So, moving in to a little bit more about you, what would you say is core to you? What do you think makes you you?
It's a great question, Carter. It's something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about, really, in the last year or so. It's amazing the difference that working with a coach, like with an executive coach, they really get you to start to think about those things
Yeah.
in ways that you haven't thought about before. And what makes me me is integrity and character are it's such a central part of my core values.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of like how I carry myself and how I deal with others, but also in terms of like what I expect from others and the kind of people that I want to work with and associate and support. I put a very, very high value on character and integrity. So that's probably that's very, very deep for me.
Huge. It's one of those ways that if you know that you can trust someone, then sky's the limit. You can get anything done. But when you start questioning, all trust goes out the window, and it's really hard to build that back up. So,
Carter, I got a saying, and it's you earn trust in nickels, but you spend it in dollars.
wow. All right, quote that. Quote that for the podcast. That's going on. That'll be a quick clip.
If I can give you or other young people career advice, that would be it. That
Yeah.
your reputation is everything, and it is not hard. It is very hard to build your reputation. It takes a long time, but boy, it is very easy to squander your reputation.
Yeah.
And so that's why you always got to be mindful. You always got to be putting yourself in the right situations and being a person of. And it's another thing I think that Mendoza and Notre Dame does so well is we don't just grow leaders, we grow ethical leaders that have an incredibly strong ethical moral base. Again, I don't think any other institution in the world does that the way that Notre Dame does. If you're gonna maintain that reputation over the course of a career, which again you're talking these days, you're talking 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
You could be in a career path or multiple career paths. That's a long time to sustain a reputation. The only way you're going to do that is by really focusing on having a strong character, having a strong moral center, having an unbelievably refined ethical base.
That's beautiful, and that's something that in my curriculum there was a lot of focus on, and to be able to actually see it in action is really cool. I know I can trust and stand by every Notre Dame person I know. It's just like good company. So talking about like good company, if you could have dinner with anyone, who's at your table?
Oh boy, that's a good one. Jeez.
You can pick one or two or three, whoever you're thinking.
And is this strictly speaking like people that I don't know already?
It could be people you know. It could be people who have passed on. It could be people.
Oh yeah, okay. I would love to. So my parents were both the youngest of large families, which means they had many brothers and sisters, all of which were considerably older than they were.
Right.
Many of my first cousins, many of my second cousins are my age. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so if I can get one table together, it would be my wife and my two kids with my grandparent, with my grandmother, and several of my aunts and uncles that have some of my aunts and uncles that have passed. Again, people of unbelievable character. I mean, unbelievable stories. We could do a whole podcast just on that, which
Oh,
we all could, right? We all could about our family.
yeah.
They would get such a kick out of my kids. I would just love to see that play out around a dinner table because I grew up. So I'm half Irish and half Italian.
Okay.
My father's family, who was all Italian, my grandmother immigrated from Italy. After the turn of the century, and so very typically of American Italian families, we would have Sunday dinner at my grandma's house every single Sunday growing up, and as
That's
many
the way to do it.
many of my aunts and uncles that could come would come, and so we'd have a pretty full table most weeks.
That's awesome.
And so like just to think about what it would have been like for my kids to be at that table, that would be special. That would be something special.
Wow. Yeah. No, family. It runs deep, and being able to have those experiences, and just my grandparents have passed, and I have a closer, tight knit family. But there's nothing like sitting around and just being able to tell the old stories, and even just see your grandparents and build that respect. And I think that's beautiful. That's really, really cool. All right. If you were to look at some of your life experiences, and you had the absolutely wonderful opportunity to become president of the United States, right? Like they said, we need Ryan to lead this country. What is an executive order you would do? It could be serious, it could be funny, it could be whatever. Was there anything that you would institute on day one?
That's a good one.
Sunday dinners. You could even do Sunday dinners.
I would, you know what it would be, Carter? And again, this is silly, but I would absolutely issue an executive order that the Super Bowl's got to be on Saturday.
All right, you got my vote. You got my vote right there.
Super Bowl's got to be on Saturday.
Or Monday's got to be a national holiday.
Right. One or the other. Pick whichever one you want.
It's like they know what they're doing. They just do it to us. They know they're in our brain. Like they have all the power, and yet.
And my second executive order would be to move Halloween to the last Saturday in October.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of a floating one.
Yeah, because during the week it's tough. Like
Tuesday and stuff.
I rush home from work, and now they have like you can only trick or treat between 5 and 7 p.m. So you kind of got to rush home and get into it. And
daylight savings and everything too.
There's a lot more cars on the road because it's a work day. So I'd want to see that move to a weekend.
That'd be a great idea. And abolish daylight savings. Get rid
I don't know, man. We're right on. We're right on the time zone change. So there's pluses and minuses to that for us.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the summertime when it's like 10 p.m. and it's just beautiful.
I wouldn't do it.
Sun is going down. That's awesome. All right. Do you have any pieces there's a lot of different students that listen to this, or younger people, in terms of financial literacy, and just do you have any advice for people
Carter, your mic's cutting out a bit, Carter. Very faintly.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
okay,
I got you back.
Yeah, sorry, connected to my headphones for a second. So yeah, any piece of financial literacy you would give to young people?
So that's another good one. Be patient.
Yeah.
It's easy when you're young. Young people are always in a rush. I was in a rush. I was in a rush to get somewhere with my career. I was in a rush to buy the things that I think I should have. And I made a lot of bad decisions with my money because of it. And I'm not talking like life-changing things, but like even just like things that I shouldn't have been blowing my money on as a young person. you're gonna have those opportunities to acquire the things that you want to acquire in life. You don't need to do them all before you're 25 or even before
Yeah.
you're 30. Um, be patient, do the research, budget your money, and buy those things that you really want to buy when you're going to be able to buy them with no
Yeah.
regret,
Yeah. 100%.
with no thought in your mind about, can I afford this? Do I need this? When you're making big financial decisions, it should always be from as much of a position of confidence as possible.
No, that's great advice. Just be patient. It's hard for us, but be patient.
So, especially with social media, especially living in big cities, like you're just constantly confronted with what other people have at your age. You're constantly benchmarking yourself to them, and it's just such an exhausting way to spend some of the best years of your life, by comparing yourself and benchmarking yourself to people that do something totally different than you. Like, why should I ever compare myself to somebody that's in investment banking? Like, we do completely
Yeah.
different things. It just because we're the same age, it's nonsensical when you really think about it, and yet we
Yeah.
do that. And so, just depending on, no matter what, even if you're an investment banker, right? Like, you got to be patient and really get to a point of very strong financial health, and then you can start to think about, what are the things that I really want to invest my money in life. And the other thing that I would say, like almost as like a corollary to that, is, and I say this as a two-time homeowner, don't don't buy invest in the
Yeah.
good stuff, because if you invest in the cheap stuff, you're just going to replace it later with the good stuff, and you'd have spent more money.
That's great advice.
So, like, I'll give you an example. When I bought my first house, I felt like I needed all the landscaping stuff, right?
Yeah.
All the
That
landscaping
pride. Yeah.
power tools. And because I needed them all, I had to spread my money out. So I got a lot of cheap
Uh-huh.
stuff, and it all was junk. And I ended up replacing it all with the good stuff just within a couple of
Yeah.
years. And so I could have saved my money. I could have bought secondhand, and not just filled my house with cheap things just for the sake. You don't need to fill
Yeah.
your house with cheap things. You could wait and make great decisions over time. There's no rush. Again, that's what I mean about being patient.
No, I 100% agree with you. There's a level of, it's easy to do the cheap thing, or it might be like smart and like, hey, I got this. But everything that's quality is quality for a reason. And being able to invest in just the good things, it's good for your psyche too. It's like it's a deserving action too. It's like you deserve to have something nice, and so you treat it nicer, or you're not having to deal with those issues. It's like it's nice that way for a reason. So go and work for it. I think you.
And you get so much more
Yeah.
enjoyment out of it in turn, because you have pride in it. You want to, frankly, you want to take
Yep.
better care of it because it's nicer, and it took more work for you to be able to afford it. I think a lot of it is obviously like that kind of mindset of rushing into filling a house, if you will, or filling an apartment. It's HGTV, it's all those design shows, and that fuels that kind of like, well, I need to entertain. Like, when can I start
Mm-hmm.
entertaining? And that's just sold to us because it makes the big box stores wealthy, right? Like, that's why those shows exist on HGTV. That's why House Hunters
Yep.
exists. That's why name your house, name your show. But the reality is that you can entertain people with almost nothing in your house. Because it's not about, when you're good entertaining is not about what's in
Who
your
you?
house. It's about spending time with people that
Yeah.
you care about and sharing the story. Like, I go back to the dinner example with my family growing up. My grandma did not have a
No.
fancy house. We did not
No.
have fancy meals in that house. But that was some of the best entertaining that I've ever witnessed in my life, because there was so much love, and there weren't any phones, so we were doing a
Yeah.
lot of listening. And so yeah, so like that's just a long way of saying be patient about your
Wow.
financial decisions.
I remember laying on my grandparents' floor, and it was this old green rug that was there for maybe 50 years. And they had the chairs lined up, not the most comfortable chairs in the world, but we had board games, and we could run around, we could like jump into each other's laps and laugh and tumble and like wrestle, and it was the perfect time, but it was the most simple time. That's what
Yep.
matters at the end of the day. That's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And then for this last question, before we get into a couple rapid fire questions, are you lucky?
I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky. I'm at like a real tangible level. I've been lucky in my career, especially recently. I've been very lucky in real estate.
Yeah.
Honestly, like just for whatever reason, I have a beautiful house that I just love to death. And I've been incredibly lucky with my family, not just the family that I was born into, but the family that I chose and that I made. I married the most wonderful person in the world, who's been the most supportive, considerate, caring, thoughtful person that I
Oh,
ever
beautiful.
could have married. Uh, she's an absolutely phenomenal mother
Shout
to our
out.
children, which again, it's
Yeah.
just luck. I've got two amazing boys that are my reason for getting up in the morning. So yeah, I consider myself
And
really
that's
lucky.
the
Yeah.
luck management lifestyle. That's beautiful. Yeah. Great.
Yes, sir, Carter. Thanks for having me on. Like, let me know when you're going to be back around campus. Always good to catch up. And again, congratulations on how phenomenal this podcast has become, and all the best of luck in
Yeah.
the
Thanks so
future.
much.
Okay.
We'll definitely be in contact. So wherever you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and we are now on YouTube. Keep living the luck management lifestyle. Peace.